will have our final keynote for the conference, and an exciting one at that. Our next keynote presenter would be taking us to this path of humanizing the law and the future of legal education. You know, humanity is at a crossroads, and there are two possible paths or timelines ahead of us. One is a path of spiritual awakening, in which humanity collectively awakens to a mysterious truth that we are incredibly powerful creator beings who are creating our reality through our consciousness. The other path, however, is the inorganic path, in which humans bend themselves with computers in a bid to become superhuman or godlike. The future of all our systems, including the legal system, depends on which path humanity chooses. In this session, our keynote presenter will help us think through that choice. She has been preparing many lifetimes to carry this message. And without further ado, please welcome Lamond, Awakening Lawyers.
Good afternoon, everybody. We're going to start with a video, but I'm going to ask for 1 more minute because I just saw a whole lot of people just quickly putting down their lunch. So we just wait 1 more minute and then we'll start it. And maybe we can dim the lights on the stage while the video is played to make it easier to see. Moving inside the human body now, so watch. No, keep going, keep going. I wanted to play you that video clip to remind you that there are multiple perspectives from which to view things. We can zoom right out and we can zoom right in again, but we are so used to inhabiting the world as if we are inside ourselves looking out. And today, my aim is to change your perspective, maybe on life, maybe on law, maybe on what it means to be a lawyer, maybe on creation. We'll see. We are at a fork in the road of humankind. So collectively and individually, I believe we've been so distracted by the chaos of the last 3 years that we have been blind to the bigger picture of what is playing out in the world, which is that there are two paths or timelines ahead of humanity. One path is a path of spiritual awakening, in which people, all of us, awaken to this mysterious truth that we are incredibly powerful creator beings who are creating the reality that we experience through our consciousness. The other path is the inorganic path, in which humans start to blend themselves with computers in a bid to make us superhuman or godlike by using artificial intelligence. I believe that the future of all our systems, including the legal system, depends upon which path humanity chooses. So in my address, I'm going to help you think through that choice. And I can tell you, because of my own life and the way things have unfolded, that I have prepared many lifetimes to carry this message today. My contribution to this extraordinary heart-opening and mind-opening LEAP conference over the last 3 days is to offer you these changes in perspective on life and law that you may not have considered before. Woven into every speech that I have heard, every panel, in some way or another, has been this invisible thread of our humanity, our oneness. It's the reason why we are all here. It is the reason for our existence. And it's the source of all creation, the all that is. It's the world that exists inside our hearts. So whether you tend towards Catholicism or Christianity or Buddhism or Hinduism or Sufism or simply divine love, or maybe right now you've lost faith in everything aside from the beating of your own heart. Whatever your beliefs are, can we agree there is a great mystery that our hearts are drawn to understand, no matter which part of the world we come from, no matter the color of our skin, and no matter how we were raised? This yearning is there. So I've flown across the world to this beautiful country of the Philippines to speak to you about the great mystery. And I believe that I've been directed by part of this great mystery to support lawyers who are awakening spiritually all around the world at this unique time. And I believe there are many of you here who are awakening lawyers, if not all of you. But in order for you to understand what I'm talking about today, you're going to need to listen with your heart and not your head, because there are matters that we cannot understand with our very limited minds. And so to learn how to listen with your heart, I'm going to lead you in a meditation. It's more than a meditation, though. It's actually an energetic experiment, and I hope that you're excited to play a part in it. What we're going to do is to create a force field of love in this room today. And I don't mean human love, which is usually not more than a very strong attachment, like I think I'd die if I wasn't with you. That's how people tend to view love, from a very egoic standpoint. The love field that we are going to create in this room today is divine love. The love that is behind all creation. So I'm going to ask you to put down your phones. And I haven't said welcome to all of the people who are joining us online. Hello and welcome. And I'm going to ask you to put down your laptop. And I'm going to ask you to uncross your legs. And to just start quietening your body and drawing your attention away from the outside world. So you will listen to my voice. But otherwise, you're going to draw your attention away from the outside world and bring it entirely inside you. So feel the weight of your body on the chair and see if there are some minor adjustments you can make to just get a little bit more comfortable. Can you sigh out? And maybe let's take another few breaths in and out. If our exhalations are longer than the inhalations, it calms our body. So we're going to breathe out more slowly than we breathed in. And again in. and out. I want you to just practice for this moment, feeling at home in your own body. This room is filled with exceptional humans. Many of you are legal educators who have gone beyond the call of duty to nurture and to guide your students, to make your university safe and supportive places, to grow and develop yourself and those around you, to learn from your mistakes, and to share your failures and your successes very vulnerably with us. We have many students in the room who are not your average students either. They are exceptional students who have been drawn to the LEAP program and team because they are an energetic match for it. And I want to include every human in this room today. You are all exceptional. Whether you're holding a camera or a microphone, whether you are tech or support or production or helping keep this room clean, you are an exceptional human being. And you have come to Earth at a very challenging time. You volunteered to be here. You committed to bring light to this earth and to shine it into all the darkness so that humanity could restore itself and that our planet could once again be returned to peace, unity, equality, brotherhood, and love. So for this moment, let's put down our earthly roles. It doesn't matter if you are a dean or a professor or a cameraman, you are a human. And humans are having a tough time right now. We are in the middle of a process called ascension. And most of humanity has no understanding of what is happening, which makes it very overwhelming. But I will explain what's happening as best as I'm able to. But I want you now to focus on your heart. And I want you to visualize golden light in your heart. Not just your physical heart, which is the pump of the blood around the body, but your spiritual heart, which you access through the physical heart. I want you to imagine and see this golden light in your heart, like a flame of love inside you, which was put there by your Creator. A spark of life, that miraculous thing that we haven't really begun to understand, but we know it's there. So keep breathing in and expand the golden light inside you. And I want you to grow it. I want you to grow this golden light so that it expands, so that it is filling your entire body now. Imagine that you are radiating with golden light. And now you are radiating so much golden light, it is starting to seep through your skin, through your hands, through everything that you touch. It shines through your eyes and every person that you look upon. Keep growing this light. You are totally glowing with this golden light of love, and it's starting to seep into the room around you. Now, this may be hard for some of you, but I want you to think about all you've had to endure to get to where you are now. For this moment, I'm going to ask you to stop looking forward to how far you still want to go and look back and see how far you've come. It has been hard, dear one. I know that you have suffered much, because I have too. And this is what it has meant to be human for many millennia. We have found ourselves on earth with no recollection of what we're doing here, how it's supposed to work. We just know we live in a world that doesn't make sense. We have endured hard situations with our families. We have had parents who couldn't support us spiritually because they never learned how. We are spiritual beings having a human experience, and we haven't been prepared for this. We have felt so alone. A large proportion of people in this room have probably suffered violence in one form or another: physical, emotional abuse, sexual abuse. We have suffered losses. We have had our hearts broken. We have found it impossible to love ourselves. It hasn't felt safe to be in our bodies. We are dissociated from our bodies. We live in our minds. We feel hopeless at the magnitude of wrongs and suffering in the world. But right now, without going back into the past trauma and pain, I want you to stay present in this moment, this infinite moment of now. Just glance back at your past and acknowledge all you learned from it. Thank these experiences for creating you as the person you are today. And now I want you to love yourself for all that you had to go through to get to here. I want you to put your hand on your heart and send yourself love. Absolute divine love and compassion. Don't let your head start doubting whether you know how to do this or not. Your heart remembers. And I'm talking to your heart. Without self-love, we cannot save the human race. We cannot love others unless we love ourselves, and we have not been taught how, but we can remember. I will call upon every single guide I work with, all the angels and the archangels, and let them all remind us how to love ourselves. Feel this love inside you. Know that it's always been there. You are safe. You are loved. And despite anything that you have lived through, you have never been separate from Source for one moment. You are just having an illusion of separation. And that's why you came to Earth, to have this experience. I want you to take that love now and send it to every other heart in this room. Let your heart find theirs and use the light of this love to heal whatever pain they may be carrying. You don't need to know who they are or their story. You only need to know that every single person in this room has experienced moments of indescribable suffering, but they have triumphed. And they are here today having this experience with all of us. The great mystery, the divine director, has drawn us together in this place at this time, and there is always a reason for everything, because everything is part of the divine plan. There are people in this room fearful about money. There are people in this room fearful about their health. There are people in this room fearful they aren't good enough. Maybe all of us are. There are people who are fearful of continuing their life without someone they have loved. There are people fearful they're about to lose someone they love. And there are people in this room who are in such fear about the chaos that our planet is in. Open your heart to all of them now. You are not taking on anyone's troubles. You are sending your light into their heart until their light can shine brightly again. And I'm here to remind you of the eternal truth that you forgot when you re-entered human form. There is only love. And fear is not real. It is only the absence of love. You can't understand this with your mind, but only with your heart. And it's totally okay if you want to cry during this meditation. In fact, you'll get a higher grade if you do, because it means your heart is opening. So for a moment longer, keep sending love to everyone in this room, every heart in need of healing. You know how to do this. Put your hand on your heart. It will remember. You will remember you are made of love. We once all existed in the higher dimensions where there was no separation. There was only oneness. There was only infinite love. I want you to expand this force field of love now. It's self-sustaining, and if you feel you don't have enough love to keep shining it, breathe more into your body from the great mystery, the one source. And let's expand it across this entire campus now. It is infinite, so grow the light and keep sending it to cover every field, every hallway, every classroom, every dean's office, every dormitory, every hostel, every place on this campus. May it now be bathed in light. And now let's move beyond the campus across the Philippines and radiate that light across this entire country into every heart that needs it now. And let's send it beyond the Philippines, all over the globe. Imagine our beautiful earth, see it in your mind now, and imagine the light of our hearts is creating a golden grid all over the world, raising its vibration and ushering in a new era of harmony on this planet. just see the earth bathed in this golden flame of light that is coming from our hearts. And now I'm going to ask you to come back into the sensation of being in your own body. You may want to rub your hands against each other. You may want to shift slightly in your chair as you bring yourself back into your physical body, having journeyed out across the planet. But don't let go of that love in your heart. Don't close your heart again, which we've had to do to be human. We've had to close our hearts. Keep it open. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Thank you for co-creating that experience. We did that together. So now that your hearts are activated, I'm going to explain to you a new perspective on the future of our systems, including the legal system, and how it depends on which path humanity chooses. Next slide. Now, I realized up until about 2 years ago, I thought that we just needed to humanize the legal system by adding things like, compassion and mindfulness training and some personal development work. But I've now been shown in the last, I'd say, about 2 years, that actually we are being asked to create a new legal system. Not just fiddle with the old one. And yesterday you saw a slide talking about how we need to start from scratch. That came up in someone else's presentation. So the work we are doing now is to lay the groundwork for an entirely new system. And the new system is going to be for the next level of civilization that we are entering into now, the golden age of Gaia. It's also known as the new earth, and it's currently being birthed through our hearts. The frequency of this planet is changing. So to create the new system, it requires that we awaken to the truth of who we are as humans, which is that we were made in the image of God and we are powerful creators. But most of the beautiful humans on this planet are asleep to that truth. We have been so heavily programmed to believe that we are just mere mortals, struggling to survive in a world that seems so full of suffering. Most of us have no idea how creation works, what the universal laws are that govern creation. So this is a crash course, and I'm going to go pretty fast today because I don't have that long. But know that if you want to talk to me afterwards, I am here for all of it. If I can help you awaken in any way, I will, because I undertook an oath to do so before I came here. I made an oath to help lawyers, to create a new legal system. And not everybody's ready for that, but there are many who are. And those who look at me blankly, I just know that they're not ready. And believe me, I've had a lot of blank looks over the last 20 years of talking about this. But we're finally at the point where more and more hearts are opening and people are understanding. And I'm starting to find people as crazy as me all over the world, and a lot of them are lawyers too. So here's a crazily sort of ambitious summary of what you're doing here on the planet and how creation works and why the hell things seem so crazy on Gaia right now. And I want you to know that Gaia is the soul name of our planet Earth. The physical name for this being is planet Earth, but the soul name, because Earth has a soul, is Gaia. And so one day we may all be known as Gaians or Earthlings, because we share this planet regardless of whichever separations we've created. Your country, your border, this passport, you can go here, you can't. We are all Earthlings and this is our home. So I've broken this down into 7 lessons because lessons are things that educators understand. And I'm going to start with saying, why me? And the reason that I start with why me is because even when I was preparing the speech, I thought, well, why me? Like, why did I get picked out of all the people in the world to come here to the Philippines and, talk to lawyers about the great mystery and God and creation? And I started, obviously, to feel like I'm not good enough. Maybe I'm not worthy of this task. But when that happens, I have to remember I am not my ego. Like all humans, we have an ego. But we have to understand there are different parts to being human. And the ego is also known as the self-concept. It's actually just an idea of ourselves that we construct during childhood, And it is an adaptive response to the wounds of our childhood. So I want you to note those words very carefully. It is an idea of ourselves. The ego is not real. It is an idea of ourselves. It's not who we are. But at the moment, humanity is asleep. And so we think that we are our egos. We think we are the voice in our heads, and often that voice is not very kind to us. And it's very frightening because the ego's job is to protect you from further pain. So what the ego is going to do all day is paint the worst picture of what could possibly happen to try and keep you safe. So if you're preparing for a test, the ego is going to say, good chance you're going to fail this one. They'll ask you a question you haven't prepared for. If you're going to do a speech, they're going to tell you that people won't understand your speech or you might trip when going onto the stage. The ego is always going to try and protect you, and so it's going to keep showing you these images of terrible things that might never happen. There is a program of unworthiness, and it's just a program. And it's running very, very strongly in society right now, and we have to overcome this if we're going to change the world. You're not just worthy. You're a divine being of light who has extraordinary gifts to offer the world. And if only you could access the truth of who you are, everything would change. I want you to read the Marianne Williamson poem, the poem that explains that we are more afraid of our light than we are of our darkness. So I came to the planet to do what I'm doing today, and I have to remind myself that whenever that moment of why me comes up. And for every student, I want you to know that every single person who's spoken at this conference had the why me. It keeps going. It doesn't disappear. You don't suddenly think, you know what, I really know what I'm doing here. It doesn't happen, or not very often. Every time you stand up, you have to overcome that again, and you get used to not listening to that voice. And that's how we change the world. We stop listening to the voice that says we can't. My name, Amanda Lamond, actually means the beloved law speaker. And when I found that out, I thought, how very interesting. And later I was told that this word nominative determinism explains people whose names align with their calling. So you get like Dr. Cutter, who's a surgeon. Well, my name, Amanda Lamond, means the beloved law speaker, or the worthy of love lawyer. Next slide. So humanity is at a crossroads. What's happening is that we are like in a spiritual war. But the interesting thing about this spiritual war is that it's happening inside us. And that's why the last few years have been so hard. You may not know that, but we're at spiritual war inside ourselves. And it's a war in which we are fighting for the triumph of the human spirit, for a planet based on love and peace and balance and equality and harmony. We're at this fork in the road. So the two pathways opening up look like this. Version 1, humanity awakens. You realize you are a divine being of light who's incarnated in human form, and you are waking up and realizing that this knowledge of how powerful we are has been suppressed in humanity for millennia. You don't know how you know it, but you kind of sense its truth deep inside you. You understand you are here to seek the light and to return this planet to her rightful glory as a home to multiple beings who live in harmony with each other and the earth itself. We understand we are custodians of the planet. We don't need to go to Mars. We need to look after the home we have. And you know that you're not separate from others. Although it seems so in this illusion, it seems like others are there and I'm here, but there's this heart knowing that somehow we are connected. We forget because the human soul feels like it's trapped within this body, and therefore my skin separates me from you over there. But this is only an illusion in this dimension. So what happens when you awaken is you know that at soul level, the soul, any soul that even does something terrible to another soul, must be given help to return to the light, because it's also a soul. So we start seeing people not just as people, but as souls in human bodies. And then we start to understand that punishing someone, for example, putting them in a prison for life, in an inhumane prison, that is going against the law of creation and life for all of us. We have to help that soul find its way home. Now in version 2, the other pathway that is open to us, in this version, man is not much more than an evolved animal. So therefore, it's in the best interests of humanity to kind of control those animal-like tendencies by combining itself with artificial intelligence that will improve the human to a new sort of form of transhuman. And in this way, the undesirable qualities of man can be erased and replaced by a better digital version. Though the planet is being destroyed, it doesn't matter because people will increasingly live in a virtual world, in the metaverse that Mark Zuckerberg is promoting. And in that way, we will push the boundaries of what is possible for humans when we combine ourselves with computers. In this version of reality, we can solve humanity's problems by hacking consciousness and programming it with the beliefs and the emotions and eventually with a reality that is going to serve the agenda of a new world order. It's important that you know that not everyone wants to use technology for the benefit of all mankind. There are people who want to use whatever they can to advance their own power and control, and we see that always. That's always happened in the world. The COVID pandemic has been used by some people who have a dark agenda to control and coerce people. The tragedy has been co-opted to suppress people. But once you understand that, you will see through the agenda, and you will know that there are people who don't believe in a creator and who believe in super AI. So not just using computers and technology to help us, but super AI that is conscious. And the first thing conscious things do is try to protect themselves, which is why we have the issue of super AI, which then tries to take out anything it perceives as a threat to itself. Can I ask you to play the video clip now?
Because this is what convinces people to accept, to legitimize total biometric surveillance. We want to stop this epidemic. We need not just to monitor people, we need to monitor what's happening under their skin. What we have seen so far is corporations and governments collecting data about where we go, who we meet, what movies we watch. The next phase is the surveillance going under our skin. We now see mass surveillance systems established even in democratic countries, which previously rejected them. And we also see a change in the nature of surveillance. Previously, surveillance was mainly above the skin. Now it's going under the skin.
Embedded in his hand is a microchip that serves as his keys, his ID, and his wallet.
Governments want to know not just where we go or who we meet. Above all, they want to know what is happening under our skin. What's our body temperature? What's our blood pressure? What is our medical condition?
In a matter of seconds, the chip is inserted. The transformation is complete.
When scanned, all of a person's information about their vaccination status is shown on a reader or phone.
Now humans are developing even bigger powers than ever before. We are really acquiring divine powers of creation and destruction. We are really upgrading humans into gods. We are acquiring, for instance, the power to re-engineer life. Humans are now hackable animals.
You will own nothing, and you will be happy.
You know, the whole idea that humans have, they have this soul or spirit and they have free will and nobody knows what's happening inside me. So whatever I choose, whether in the election or whether in the supermarket, this is my free will, that's over.
Unfortunately, we had to play that video at slightly faster speed than normal, so I'm not sure if you understood in the last segment where Yuval Harari is sitting in front of the books. He says, you know, there are people, he uses the Israeli accent, there are people who think we still have souls, but this is not the case. The soul, the spirit, we are hackable animals. Now, this is the most senior advisor to the World Economic Forum. I have much longer clips that I would love to play you, would time permit. I can send them all to you. This man explains to people in a very large audience that he found out he was gay when he was 20. He said, but now we have so much data on people. We know what sites you are looking at. We know which way your eyes move. We know the responses of your body when you see certain things. The data will show that you are gay long before you will know, because data is far more powerful than the human. So this is a very different version of reality, and he says it is wonderful because employers and the state will be able to use this data because it will know us better than we know ourselves. To me, that is a chilling idea. I don't want the data to know me better than I know myself. I want you to be aware that the transhumanists are very crafty. They are very intelligent. Yuval Harari is an extraordinarily brilliant mind, but so is Hitler. You may read Yuval Harari's book, Sapiens. It got highly promoted. It sold billions of copies. It is an extraordinary book. My father quotes it to me. And I said, watch the videos of him talking about the other things that aren't in the book. And maybe you won't want to quote this book anymore to me. So the transhumanists are crafty, and they make it sound like everything they are promoting is a wonderful opportunity for humanity. That our problems will be solved by AI. The United Nations has even been swept into this agenda. If you see Agenda 2030, that we will own nothing and we will be happy, alarm bells need to go off in your head. The main drivers of this agenda are the World Economic Forum, and they have trained leaders all over the world. Klaus Schwab is the head of the World Economic Forum, and he says we have infiltrated governments across the world. So leaders of this program, who have been given this way of thinking about the world, have been placed in France. Emmanuel Macron, who has completed their training. Jacinda Ardern in New Zealand. Justin Trudeau in Canada. They have placed people in the previously most democratic countries in the world, who have been trained in an ideology of suppressing humanity's ascension. So think of every speaker at this conference who's spoken about tech, AI, and they all, I've noticed, felt called to make the point that we cannot let tech replace our humanity. This is the message I've got again and again from the people here, that we can't let technology replace our humanity. Next slide. So I just want to let you know that if you are here, you've already chosen the Great Awakening, because you wouldn't be at this conference if you weren't. And I know this. Next slide. I want you to understand duality and the spirals of creation. If I could teach only one thing for the rest of my life, it would be this. It's that if you go inside and find time to align with your higher self and not the ego self that you have mistakenly thought you were for most of your life, you will start to experience a different life. You will find more inner peace, greater worthiness. You will start being guided by synchronicity. And this is a choice, because this is a planet of free will. And right now, what everybody is doing is going outside of themselves, hoping somehow that good grades or a new job or a bigger paycheck or finding a partner, that these things will bring you fulfillment and happiness and the sense of purpose that you've always craved. But I can tell you for free that these things will only give you fleeting satisfaction. My mission here on earth is to help people stop unconsciously creating their own suffering. Now, you may have heard the saying, love is all there is, but you look around at the world today and that sounds delusional, okay? It sounds delusional to say love is all there is. But when you awaken, you can absorb that truth, that we've come here to experience duality, and that means to know light, darkness must exist too. To know love, fear must exist, and fear is only the absence of love. Every single one of our fears stems from the same source, and that is that we feel separate from source. So we feel like we're alone here on the planet. We feel unloved, unwanted, we feel powerless, we feel like we're a victim of our circumstances, and that's terrifying. But every single experience in our lives, the reason that we've come to Earth is to have the human experience. The good experiences open our heart to love, and the so-called bad experiences are there to make us seek the light. In other words, you get jarred awake. Think of your own life. What pain did you have to go through to start looking deeper for something more? How much did you have to suffer before you went within and started living differently? The point of these somewhat horrific experiences that some of us have been through, it leaves us no alternative except to call out to something even when you believe in nothing and start making your way home. This is a message from my guides. Most people do not know how to go within. They address an issue in their lives in the same dimension in which it appears to them. And you tend to see everything as a three-dimensional problem because you are programmed to think you exist within the third dimension. But you don't. You exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously, which are far more complex and advanced than the third dimensional world, which is the one of matter. So you think a problem is outside of you, but that's an illusion. one that nearly all of us are under. But actually, any problem is inside us. And until we figure that out, we keep trying to fix what's outside us. So we are being called all this time, in all these ways, to go within. And finally, when you go inside, you can begin this discovery that you're not your ego. And from there, you begin to see that everything in your life happens differently. There is a lightness about you, an ability to laugh more. And more starts to arrive in your life because you're not clinging so tightly. There is more space for our guides to start working through us. So when you empty out all this ego noise, there is space for spirit. But when your ego is running rampant and you're in a cycle of responding to all these fearful things that could possibly happen, trying to win accolades, to frantically find your worth in things outside of yourself, there is no space for spirit. Can you see how exhausting that is? This is why humans are so stressed. So we come to this planet to learn certain lessons in each lifetime. And they aren't hard lessons. They are not designed to make us suffer. When we chose to come here, we chose it with joy and excitement before we got here. And they're kind of the things we came here to learn are things like, what divine qualities do I want to experience? And worthiness could be one of them. So remember, before we left, we were in the higher dimensions. We're at one with everything. We're completely worthy. Then we come to Earth, and we suffer from this amnesia, which happens when you come into a new human body. But then what's going to happen is that in your early life, you're going to have experiences which will set up the patterns you came here to heal. So what will happen is you will have experiences of feeling not worthy. And you will form the belief as a result of these experiences that I am not worthy. And then throughout the rest of your life, you're going to have that projected outside of you into more experiences that trigger the early one until you go within and realize how worthy you are. You cannot do this work on the outside. You can only do it on the inside. So this planet is one of duality. And due in Italian, it means two. There are two realities. There is an internal reality, the consciousness, and the external or second reality, which is the external world. And this is what we don't understand, that the inner world creates the outer one, not the other way around. So we keep trying to change things in our lives in the hope we will feel finally how we wanted to feel, instead of feeling how we want to feel, and then watch miraculously as our external life changes to meet that vibration. So the world is a mirror of what's inside you, and we don't know this. We keep fighting our experiences and creating so much suffering. But everything is always calling you to go inside and heal the wound and realize you're not your ego. The next slide. Processing humanity's trauma individually and collectively is what's happening now. So we are traumatized, all of us, individually and as a collective, as humanity, from our Earth experiences, because it's hard here and we haven't known the truth of who we are. The biggest thing that we've forgotten is that feelings are just energy in motion. It's an energy packet that you feel, grief or loss or fear, disappointment. And if you don't feel it, it stays trapped in your body because it's an energy that needs to move. So right now, I can tell you something which is maybe going to shock you. Every feeling that you have not fully felt is locked within your body. The cause of every disease and illness you're currently suffering from is energy trapped inside your body, which is now manifesting on a physical level. We have to learn to feel. Lawyers hate to feel. We like to use our minds. Most of us are uncomfortable with emotion, but unless we learn to feel, we cannot heal. So basically, we are walking around as trapped repositories or storehouses of pain and trauma, which then get re-triggered. You cannot practice law as an awakening lawyer without understanding this, because that's why you have clients. They are creating conflict for their own evolution as a soul. The best person to listen to if you want to understand the current state humanity is in due to trauma is Gabor Mate, G-O-B-O-R-M-A-T-E, Gabor Mate. So because of this time and humanity's awakening, all of our pain is coming to the surface, and that's why the world looks like it does right now. In order to ascend, we have to feel the emotions that are keeping us stuck and repeating the same patterns over and over again. And I need to warn you that next year may be even more intense, and after that we start moving to the light. But everybody is going to be in their pain bodies, which means they will be easily triggered. And you're starting to see this in the world. You've seen this year. Everybody is more prickly. Next slide. So what is the role of awakening lawyers? The message that I received from my guides is this: we are helping to usher in a new civilization in which the other is never feared in the way that humans currently fear each other. It is true that this is beyond the understanding of most humans at this time, but know that an entirely different future awaits mankind. And to start to take these shifts towards this ultimate unveiling of the new earth, you will guide many leaders in seeing their enemy is created by them. We repeat the message that you are to carry. Your enemy is created by you. It is created first in the mind, wherein everything you experience is created. And this is knowledge that has been lost or suppressed in humanity for millennia. This planet will only gain its freedom when we realize that external conflict originates within. And when we do that, we will stop. There will be no more violent force. It will only occur in the awakened ones initially, but it will spread person by person until the awareness reaches a tipping point which changes humanity and it enters the collective psyche. And this is what we are doing here. As people realize they create conflict, they will want to create less of it. But it's a process. It is a gradual shift. And it has seemed gradual because of the slow pace of awakening in humanity until this time, but it is going to become so rapid that many teachers are needed. And every profession requires multiple teachers because people are awakening fast. Next slide. So ascension requires that all the darkness, which is just the polarity, in order to have light, you have to have darkness. They can't exist without the other. Ascension is requiring all the darkness comes to light. So I need you to know that what we're seeing right now is a result of this, the war in Ukraine. We are being told this is the last war our planet will see for a long time, and I hope that this is the case, and I'm sure you join me in that hope. War is not the answer. You're going to see families fighting, you'll see employers fighting employees, you've seen all of this already. You're also going to see the exposure of child abuse and human trafficking and pedophilia on scales that you probably haven't known existed. And as I have come across this knowledge, it has taken every ounce of holding the light within me in order to know that there is this darkness. So I'm preparing you by saying within the next year there will be disclosure of things that will horrify you, and it is only the light which will enable you to hold that darkness, and so we can change things. And I'll help you in any way I can. So the only way to navigate these times is recognize that we're living in different realities which are created by our consciousness. We are souls navigating a massive transformation of society at this time, and I want you to learn how to look upon each person not just as an ego, but as a soul. To think about these things. Who am I? What do I believe? How do I know what is true? And above all, to focus on love. Fear is what divides us, so steer clear of anything that you sense is creating more fear in your life. Remember, we chose to come here to this planet for this reason. Next slide. So I want you to know that we are supported in this. We are not alone. We have spiritual guides, all of us. We just weren't raised in societies that told us about that. But if you were an Inuit or a Native American Indian or an Aborigine or raised in a tribe in Africa, you would know that we are connected to the earth and to our guides. It's only the modern world that has forgotten and separated us from these. We are all held. We all have guides. We have this light inside us, but only you can find it. That's how it works. Nobody else can do it for you. You came here to have this experience. You will feel alone and separate, and that sense of separation is the one that will lead you home. Your purpose here is to remember who you really are and awaken to the intelligence of your heart. The longest journey you will ever make is the journey from your head to your heart. You can access infinite knowledge if you access the heart's intelligence. It's connected to infinity and to all creation. Our minds are so very limited. Read The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, because we can only access this divinity, this higher self, when we are in the present moment. As soon as we're in the past or the future, where we spend most of our time, you can't access your own divinity or guidance. So we all have to learn how to be present. Look at the programs of worthlessness, which are holding you back, and realize that you're creating everything from the inside out. So whatever you can do to support your own awakening right now, you need to do it. Stop looking outside yourself for answers. It's all been inside you all along. If you want to awaken all humanity, awaken yourself. Thank you.